What is good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel, talking all things boxing. Right now, remember to like, remember to subscribe to this channel. You'll be the first to know when we drop new content. So let's talk about it. Josh Taylor versus Apinun, Khongsong. So this was a fight that me and my colleague Kev, we both talked about this a little while ago, I think a few days back. And I thought it was going to be a one-sided beatdown by Josh Taylor. This guy Khongsong, prior to this, we'd only seen one fight of his. Certain things I noticed was that he didn't have head movement. He got hit a fair bit, and he was susceptible to counters after landing his own shots. And yeah, he was a guy that I think we knew, and I think if you'd watched him box before, you'd know he was levels below a Josh Taylor. But however, I will say that I didn't expect it to be as quick as it was. I expected this guy to possibly give Josh Taylor some rounds. I expected this guy to be levels below Josh Taylor, be several classes below, but I thought this guy would probably be sort of tough enough to give Josh Taylor some rounds. It looks like he comes from a Muay Thai background, as we were pointing out on our other video. He's a guy that can whack, he's a guy that can certainly punch, and he as we got into this fight, he shaped up quite well. He didn't rush in against Josh Taylor. He boxed quite sensibly. He seemed to be trying to counterpunch with Josh Taylor. He was sort of waiting and trying to wait for an opportunity to land a right hand. He did sort of land a few shots, but even in that round that it lasted, you could certainly see Josh Taylor was the superior technician. He was able to catch him with a few counters, and you could see in Khongsong's face certain times when he was getting hit, you could see there was a bit of frustration and a bit of an acknowledgement to Josh Taylor. And Josh Taylor just sort of outboxed him for the majority of the first round, and then the crucial moment came in 2 minutes 40 seconds of the opening round, and Josh Taylor just tuning him up. I think he just sort of tapped him to the head, left hand to the body, very good shot. Again, it was just a short, sharp shot, or a short, sharp shock to Khongsong's body. Nice shot to the floating ribs, little tight left hook. And it was an interesting one because it was funny because the commentators, because of where they were seated, even they were saying, well, they didn't even see the shot. They had to even wait for the replay. But when you see the replay, I mean, we saw it, the people watching TV, we saw it quite clearly. It was just a tight little left hook to the body. And you could hear a bit of a thud from it in the arena itself. And yeah, it was a deadly shot. It was a funny one because you watch it on TV or you're observing it, it didn't look that hard of a shot. It didn't really look like Taylor really put all of his force into it, but I think it must have been a hard shot because Khongsong was on the canvas for a long time. I think after the end of the fight, he was on the canvas through the decision being announced, and medical team and all the people were over by him, and I think he must have been on the ground for about 5 minutes. Just laying there on the ground, writhing in pain, and it took him a good maybe 5 minutes or more to get up. So I mean, I'm of the impression that I think Taylor might have even broken Khongsong's ribs or something like that, because Khongsong was on the ground for ages after. It was quite scary in a way for I feel for him a bit, because he was on the ground for ages after the punch landed, and he just couldn't seem to rise to his feet. Eventually did with some assistance, but yeah, it was a serious body shot. And Yeah, it was again, it was one of them fights where, as I said in our pre-fight video, you wondered to yourself, where do these guys get a #1 ranking from? Because it's good for Josh Taylor, don't get me wrong. He gets to get out and, I don't know, shed a bit of ring rust. But, I mean, you've got another guy there in Ramirez, the other champion, for you, who, they want to unify with. Apparently, that's what Bob Arum said is going to be next. Unification. There's no mandatories going to stand in the way. But you wonder, that fight, the way it ended and everything shows you, where on earth do they get these guys from in terms of ranking? I mean, I know Khongsong was 16-0, but as we said in the preview, he hadn't fought anybody. He hadn't fought anybody anywhere near the top 10. I think his best sort of win was beating somebody else in the top 10 beat. I think Barenchik or somebody. He beat a fighter who gave him rounds. So, but I mean, this guy hadn't really done anything to earn a position as #1. He's worse than everybody in the top 10, and yet somehow he was elevated to #1. And then what happens when he fights Taylor? He gets iced. He gets taken out in one round. So, in a sense, you think, was it really worth it, this fight? I mean, I suppose you can do nothing if you're the champion. You got to fight him. But yeah. Anyways, hopefully we look forward. We can now, with that out of the way, we can now look forward to Josh Taylor versus Jose Ramirez, which Josh Taylor said he wants that fight. He's open to that fight, and I think Bob Arum, as he's a top-ranked fighter now, that was his top-ranked debut. So Bob Arum said, yep, there shouldn't be any obstacles in the way of that fight. So hopefully that will be the good thing that comes out of it. Josh Taylor versus Ramirez next. And that's just my thoughts for the time being. Until next time, it is MKO Pugilism over and out. I'll see you on the next one.